If you go back to last year's game and against Minnesota, such a different coordinator, how much can you look at that? Because it's so much different.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different operation in terms of their scheme. Some of the personnel is still there, obviously, but, when you talk about our game from week 2 last year, I think it's a completely different scheme than obviously we'll be facing on Thursday night.
When you had a chance to look at the tape, I guess what were your overall impressions of how calm the game went and, kind of, the overall impression on the offense there?
Yeah, I mean, it was too sloppy. From just a standpoint of, I think for me, the thing that was really most frustrating is, we had the opportunity up 16-0 with the ball in the minus territory, 3 possessions in a row, and we couldn't get much going. So, obviously we just got to continue to clean up those corrections, make those corrections, and and put ourselves in a position to go out there and have some success.
What did you focus most on trying to correct and clean up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, going into that game last week was all about our operation. And I thought, we operated at a really clean level in terms of getting in and out, managing the different scenarios and being able to adjust in the second half to what we needed to get done in order to move the ball a little bit. But, I think when you talk about just a 17-game season and continuing to find different ways and unique ways to get everybody involved and put guys in the best position possible so that they can go out there and perform at a high level.
EJ talked about
I guess what went into the struggles to convert?
Yeah, I mean, we played a great defense. Early on, I think we converted a 3rd and 11 early on, and then there were a couple situations where we got in some really, really long yardage situations with a couple penalties and a sack. So I think that just goes into what we talked about in terms of the cleanliness that we play with and keeping ourselves on schedule. We know we're also a big 4th down team as well. So for us, as we get to those conversion opportunities, we got to do a great job of giving ourselves good yardage situations.
Some of those 3rd down runs, especially on 3rd and long, was that more trying to catch them off guard, or was it weather? I guess what went into those?
Yeah, I mean, it's that's something that we've done here, for quite a while in terms of, without getting too specific in terms of game planning. But I can think of a couple times. I think one of the plays that comes to mind last year is Jalen's long running in Chicago. So you can catch guys sometimes in some unique fronts and be able to pop a run, and then dealing with some of the weather that we were dealing with as well, definitely certainly played a factor.
EJ talked about the curveballs and coverage, a lot of different looks. Did you get a sense for that during the game?
Yeah, well, we knew that they would have some sort of wrinkles to their system and what they were doing. Obviously it's a very, very well coached team. They do a fantastic job. I think one of the things that they did a great job of was eliminating us from being able to make explosive plays down the field and really staying back in their coverage and making it, sort of a dink and dunk type of operation where, just trying to keep the ball in play and keep it moving forward. And it wasn't much opportunity to really get behind the defense just with the depth that they were playing.
As far as the touches, Nick had mentioned, you never want to come out of a game with DeAndre getting 2 touches. Dallas didn't get a reception. You guys kind of went through that in Detroit with Devontae last year. How do you, as the coordinator, do you have to sort of have that in the back of your mind? I got to get so-and-so involved.
Yeah, for sure. And, like you said, that was something that really took place in game 1 last year, with Devontae, where he ended up without a catch, but, there were 4 or 5 times where the ball could or should have went his way. So, we have to be really, really mindful of that and get, all of our players involved. So I think that's a scenario. Dallas obviously is a fantastic player, and we got to do a great job to try to find ways to get him the ball.
I watched Josh Allen last night get reckless and throw 3 picks. Does Jalen show maturity when he rolls out and instead of trying to force something, just throws it out of bounds?
Yeah, Jalen is a very, very smart player. I think he has great instincts. He understands the game, and he understands what it takes to win football games. And a big part of that is us as an offense doing a great job of taking care of the football and not giving the ball away. So, I think that's something that has really stood the test of time in terms of the game of football. Is guys that are able to possess it and score touchdowns in the red zone. It's generally a pretty good recipe for success offensively.
Especially with so many things to clean up, I guess, what's your approach to the short week with, like limited practice time?
Yeah, I mean, Nick set the schedule up in a way where we're going to get a ton of walkthrough reps, and fortunately for us, there's, we got veteran guys that have played a lot of football, that have been through these Thursday short weeks, and I think the goal is just to embrace it. It is what it is, and we have to go out there and be ready to perform at a high level, given the short week.
You and Jalen have obviously been together for a long time, know each other well, been through a lot together, but this is your first rodeo of this kind together. How has the relationship, the dynamic, the chemistry evolved? I know it's only been one game in the regular season, but just continue to grow together.
Yeah, I think, our communication in terms of adjustments was really, really good. I think you saw us come out in the second half and kind of put the ball in the air a little bit, and we were able to kind of get it moving and get a couple first downs going. But, I think for me and Jalen, our relationship has always remained pretty consistent.
For you personally, what are the biggest challenges on the short week? Just what makes it more difficult than?
Yeah, just, obviously just the time crunch. When we got back Monday, that was essentially like a Wednesday of game week. So, there's some prep work that obviously has to go into it prior to that week. But, obviously this is something that you deal with every single year. So, Nick does a great job of organizing, the structure in a way where we can get the work that we need to get done.
A lot of coaches say that you sort of have to rely on what you do in the short week versus maybe a typical week. Do you find that being, in other words, you can't?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, staples of your offense are a huge part of what you do, and, remaining true to your core. And I think that's always a recipe for success when there's limited practice time. So, I think that's why you have training camp and you build, certain things throughout the course of training camp that you feel really, really comfortable with, regardless of the opponent you're playing, regardless of who's out there, stuff that you can hang your hat on and feel like you can go out there and execute really well.
Being your first regular season game that you called, I guess, was there a lesson that you walked away from it or anything that you feel like you specifically have learned from?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many lessons to be learned from each individual experience that you have. Not only as a play caller and a coordinator, as a player, but there's so many lessons that you can take from a game like we had, and obviously those lessons are much easier to learn after a win. So we'll definitely take that and keep moving forward and continue to get better.
Back to the touches with Swift and Dallas for a second. Like, what's the balance between being mindful, like you said, and getting them the ball, but also flow of the game and realizing it just didn't get their way for one reason or another?
Yeah, for sure. Of understanding that wasn't intentional. There was some stuff designed. If you go back and watch the tape, that the ball very easily, based on the circumstance or based on the reaction of a defender, could have went a couple different places. But I think that's the game of football. And fortunately for us, we have some excellent skill position players who are all very deserving of a bunch of touches and can make game-changing plays when they get the ball in their hand. So it's up to us to really, really, like you said, just be mindful of that and try to get those guys going within the flow of the game.
Does planning against Bill, real quick, does that help you against Brian because of their history at all?
Well, there's definitely some similarities, but I think in terms of just personality and how guys call games individually. There are some differences, but in terms of just the tree of the defense, of the origin and the roots of it, there are some similarities. So, for us, I think that's one of the beautiful things about this league is that you get guys who kind of grow up together or grow up under a certain tree and build that foundation of a certain way that they do things, and you get to see it evolve into their own personality. So, Coach Flores is a guy that I have a ton of respect for, a tremendous amount of respect for, that has done some wonderful things in this league. And, I know our team is excited to get ready to go out there and play and open up at home on Thursday night.